this video, I'm going to show you why I have 0 lines and 0 wrinkles at the age of 46. And I'm not talking about genetics, I'm talking about specific decisions that I started to make in my early 30s that completely changed the way my skin has been aging. This matters because most women in their 40s are trying to reverse damage. I want to show you how I prevented it, and everything I'm sharing with you today you can start doing right now, no matter where your skin is. Plus, in the last section of this video, I'm going to share something that most people in the skincare world would never address for whatever the reason. And based on my experience, this has been more powerful for my skin than any cream, any treatment, any laser. Let's start with what I did to my skin. Some of this decision I made before I even turned 35. The most drastic thing I did was the CO2 laser, the fractional CO2 laser. I had 3 CO2 lasers at the age of 34, 35, and 36. If you are not familiar with the CO2 laser, it resurfaces your skin. It removes the damaged outer layer of your skin and stimulates collagen production deep underneath. It is a very aggressive treatment, and the recovery, especially the first 7 days, it's horrendous. But the long-term results, I believe those 3 treatments are still paying off on my skin today, and it has been 10 years since my last CO2 laser. The earliest thing I started is Botox. Well, I actually do this sport because I get a headache from Botox, especially if I get it injected right in my forehead. I started Botox, the sport, when I was 33. It's when I first started to notice these crow's feet are called, these lines right in the corner of my eyes when I was smiling. One amazing thing about this sport, or Botox, is that they don't just smooth out the existing lines we have. If you start them early enough, they can actually prevent lines from forming in the first place. You know, the muscle movement that creates lines and wrinkles over time, it never gets to complete that process. And that's why prevention is so much more important than correction. Very early in my 30s, I also started prescription Retin-A because of an amazing esthetician I had back then. I've been using prescription Retin-A consistently ever since for 15 years. Retin-A, or tretinoin, is probably the most researched ingredient in anti-aging that exists. It accelerates cell turnover. Your cells are turning over more quickly. It stimulates collagen. It basically keeps your skin acting younger than what it actually is. But here's the key. With Retin-A, consistency is what's important. If you do not use it on a regular basis, it's not going to work. The last thing I added to my routine, and this one is the most recent, I have switched to K-beauty products, and specifically to Lavien beauty. I've talked about Lavien beauty products probably in almost every video I made on this channel because these are the only products I currently put on my skin. The reason I became so dedicated to Lavien beauty products, and the reason I got rid of everything else in my skincare routine, is because they are deeply hydrating and effective, but they do not hurt your skin barrier. Once I've switched my complete skincare system to Lavien beauty products, my skin just started looking more hydrated, more plump, and more youthful. None of these are quick fixes. Every single one of them is a decision I have made, and then I stayed consistent over the years. But here's the thing. Everything I just told you, the Dysport, the lasers, the K-beauty products, the Retin-A, none of it will work the same way if I didn't also change what I was putting inside my body. And that's where we're going next. But I also want you to stay with me until the last section of this video, because none of everything I just shared with you would have worked the same way if my life hadn't completely fallen apart, then rebuilt it from ground up. That section is coming, and I believe is going to be the one that's going to stay with you the longest. Before I get into what I eat and what I put in my body, I want to share something that when I think about it still surprises me. For 18 years, I took prescription heartburn medication every single day, every single day. I thought, this is how my body works. It needs that medication. And then I got out of my marriage, changed how I was eating, changed how I was living. And I didn't need that medication anymore. Just like that, gone after 18 years. This is how deep the connection between stress, what you eat, and what shows up on your body really goes. So let's talk about what I put inside my body. First, supplements. I asked ChatGPT to do deep research on the best anti-aging vitamins for a woman in her 40s. I actually have an entire video on the anti-aging supplements I take every day, which supplements I take, why I take them, when I take them, because timing really matters. I have the video in the description and I'm going to link it at the end. But to name a few, I take collagen peptides, vitamin D, CoQ10 every day. These are so important to keep our cells healthy, to keep our bodies producing collagen, to control inflammation, which is one of the things that causes our bodies to age visibly. The second thing, I stopped eating out every day, every single meal, and I gradually started cooking at home and using mainly organic foods. It sounds simple, but it is one of the most powerful things I have done for my skin and my entire body. When you cook at home, you control everything. You control the salt, you control the oils. Have you ever noticed that when you eat out, even if you order something healthy, you can feel bloated or your face puffy afterwards? That's the sodium, that's the hidden ingredients. The connection between what you eat and what your skin looks, it's real. I have seen it on my own skin, and this is what gives me the motivation to continue to cook at home. And the third thing, and this is the one I miss sometimes, because of that beautiful gold tan look that the sun used to give me. I stopped going in the sun, I stopped tanning. I was a sun worshiper. Yes, I would wear sunscreen, but my skin was still getting a lot of damage. UV damage is the #1 cause for premature aging. Not stress, not diet, the sun. And the damage adds up, meaning every minute in the sun adds up over the decades. I challenge you, look around you. The women who look the youngest in their 40s and their 50s are always the ones that were very careful about protecting their skin in their early years. I'm not saying never go outside, I'm saying be intentional. On Saturday mornings, I love to clean my backyard, the outside furniture, the tile. It is so satisfying. But I put on sunscreen, I cover my arms, my legs, I wear sunglasses and a hat. I saved the most important section for last. This is the one I was telling you about at the beginning. The thing that most people in the skincare world would never talk about. We talk about products and treatments and diet, but we don't talk about what chronic stress does to your face, to your skin, and how it's aging you over years and years and years. I got out of a challenging marriage 2 years ago. It was a 15-year marriage, 20-year relationship. And I want to be careful how I talk about this because I don't want to talk badly about anyone or about any season of my life. But I would tell you this, the chronic stress I was carrying for years, it was showing up on my face. And I could feel it in my body too, because for 18 years, I had to take prescription heartburn medication every day. And somehow, when I got out of that marriage, I was able to stop that medication. All that stress elevates cortisol, and all that elevated cortisol breaks down collagen, disrupts sleep, increases inflammation, all the things that make you age faster. Getting a divorce was hard, but it was one of the most important things I did for my peace, for my health, for my skin. The second thing I did, I quit my job. I had that job for 22 years, a lot of security. But that job kept me connected to my ex-husband. Plus, even though I'm 46, I'm entering a season of my life when I start to think about starting a family. The weight of being connected to that chapter of my life, I was carrying it in my body every single day. When I finally let go, yes, it was scary, but I felt the relief in my body. My whole body, exhaled. And of course, over time, I saw it in my skin for the better. And the third thing, and this one is the most important, I put God at the center of my life Not just when life is hard and we feel that we need God, but also when life is good and we feel like we're just so happy. I am a Christian and I know that's something you usually don't hear in a skincare video, but I have seen it happen in my own life. That peace that comes from surrendering control, from trusting God with the things I cannot change. That peace lives in your body. It reduces that kind of chronic anxiety, that anxiety that silently ages you from inside out. Proverbs 17:22 says that a cheerful heart is good medicine. I believe that with everything in me. Joy is anti-aging, peace is anti-aging, faith is anti-aging. When I look at everything in this last section, leaving stress behind, leaving a job that was no longer right for my life, putting God first. These are not skincare tips. These are life decisions, and they show up on your face whether you want them or not. So when people ask me, why don't you have wrinkles at 46? I tell them the truth. I don't know exactly which one thing did it. I believe it was all of it. The treatments, the consistency, what I eat, how I live. But if I had to pick the thing that surprised me the most, no, it was not the CO2 laser. And not even the Retin-A, even though I love Retin-A. It was the moment I chose peace over performance and I gave up on being perfect. I mentioned earlier that I have an entire video on the anti-aging supplements I take to help me age slower. I'm linking it right here. I also have an entire playlist on everything I do to look 10 years younger. I have the playlist right here. I will see you in the next video.